Welcome to the Manifesting Millions podcast, where we talk about manifestation, money, and practical guidance to creating your dream reality. My name is Amy Van Meel, and I am an experienced coach and transformation guide, obsessed with helping you get out of your own way and create a life that blows your mind each day you wake up. My goal in this podcast is to share practical manifestation, self-awareness, and growth techniques in real talk conversations. So if you're ready to massively transform your reality, your finances, your relationships, and your overall enjoyment of life, you are in the right place. I am absolutely delighted that you're here with me today, babe. Let's get into it. Hey babe, welcome back to the podcast. I am delighted to be here with you. It is a snowy day here in Calgary, even though it is the end of April. As someone who loves winter, I am a bit shocked to be sharing this, but I am excited and looking forward to warmer weather. I'm actually kind of over this cold, kind of gross weather. It's not snow that we can do anything with. It might be killing my tulips. I don't actually know what's happening out there, but I'm kind of over it like yesterday. I will be sharing lots more updates about some of the fun things happening in my life in the next episode. But this week, I'm super excited to bring an interview that I did recently with Roy Biancalana. We get into all kinds of things. We talk about masculine and feminine energy. We talk about how we are subconsciously getting in the way of creating wonderful, loving, intimate, romantic relationships. Roy is a relationship coach, and we'll dive into what that means and what that looks like in the interview. I'm going to keep this part nice and short because it is a juicy interview. I hope that you love it, and I would love to hear your feedback. So let us know what you think. You can also reach out with Roy. We share his contact information afterwards, and everything is, of course, in the show notes for you. But definitely reach out to me. Let me know what you think. Hit me up on Instagram. You can find me at Amy Van Meel, or fire me an email. I will include all of those things in the show notes. With that, let's roll the interview. Okay. Welcome, Roy Biancalana, to the Manifesting Millions podcast. I'm not going to lie.
It's wonderful to be here.
I've been practicing your last name for 2 weeks to make sure that I was ready to say it right.
I was going to celebrate the fact that you nailed it. So yes, perfect.
Yay. I'm delighted to have you on the podcast today. It's been a long time since I've done an interview. I am really stoked about what we're going to talk about today. Before we dive into all the juicy stuff that we have to cover today, share a little bit about you. Tell our listeners who you are, what you're about. Give us the goods.
Yeah. So the focus of what I do in the world, is I work almost exclusively with single people who don't want to be, okay? So I help people sort of discover what they're doing or not doing, or how they're subconsciously or unconsciously sabotaging themselves and keeping them from attracting the healthy, sustainable relationship that they would like to be in, right? So, in my world, there's kind of two kinds of coaches. When we're talking about people that want to find a relationship and so forth, there are those that sort of talk about where to go to meet people, or what online profile platforms to use, or how to write a profile, or, what to say, how to flirt, that kind of stuff. And then I'm in the camp of thinking it's more valuable to look for the ways in which we are, sabotaging ourselves, where we have created barriers and blockages to those things, right? So there's an old mystic poet by the name of Rumi. He said something, I think, in the 1300s. So it was a little bit before the internet dating and so forth, but he said something very profound. He said, your task is not to seek for love. So he's like, your task isn't about looking for a partner. It's not about seeking for love. He said, but instead, it's about seeking and finding all the barriers within yourself that you have built against it. Okay. So right there, he kind of says, you can go seeking for it, but What if you have some unconscious barriers, blind spots, limiting beliefs, relationship personas? Maybe your childhood has left some wounding, that what if you've got things behind the scenes that you're not aware of that are sabotaging you?
Mhm.
So it's like you could go to the best places in the world to meet people, but if you've got that going on, you're going to block it. You won't allow it, right? So much better to sort of look for ways in which you could be sabotaging yourself, blocking yourself, clear that stuff away. Then perhaps we could have a conversation about, where to go to meet someone, right? So that's kind of my perspective on this. So I take more of what I call a conscious approach, rather than the conventional approach. Most people in this field are just going to tell you what to say and how to flirt and, kind of how to act or how to dress and all that stuff. And I just think most of us have some kind of baggage that is limiting us that we're not aware of.
Mhm.
So really, if I was going to be honest with you, I would say I'm a self-awareness coach. That's
Right.
really what I do.
Yeah.
Help you kind of wake up to what's really going on. And
Mhm.
then when you discover those things, then they're not that hard to shift. And then your whole trajectory of your life changes. Once you buy into that and you kind of commit to that, then your journey changes. You start looking in a different place. You start looking within
Mhm.
and you ask a different kind of question and you get different discoveries. And then in my experience, the whole world changes. Why why can't I find an appropriate partner or why doesn't it last? Why is it fizzling out after a few months or whatever? So
Mhm.
my clients usually can identify that they have some sort of pattern, like they keep meeting the same kind of person,
Mhm.
the emotionally unavailable or the commitment phobic. um it just it's like they might be different people but they're the same person, and then you get in the same pattern and the same pain. I actually call it relationship groundhog day, right? It's like that movie where Bill Murray does the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
Most people can say I feel like I'm stuck in the same pattern, the same people and problems and pain and so forth.
Right.
And so they're like, what's going on here?
Mhm.
And how can I find my way out of this and create something that's meaningful and fulfilling and lasting?
Mhm.
Yeah.
And you alluded to your own story, kind of influencing your work a little bit. And I mean, the truth is, I know for sure the work that I do, my history and my story and the experience that I've gone through heavily influence what I do.
Yeah.
And there's a reason that I go after things that are maybe a bit taboo to talk about, like
Mhm.
in what I'll air quotes with normal conversation. Tell us a
Mhm.
bit more about your story, Roy, because I'm fascinated to hear more.
As a little boy, I was never dreaming of being a relationship coach. This work sort of came up behind me and grabbed me and said, "This is where you need to go,"
Mhm.
because of my own experience. I have, I tell my clients, there's no way you'll ever tell me something that you have done crazy in a relationship that I haven't done. I've made every mistake you can possibly make. And part of it, that's why I'm an expert. I just tell my clients, just do the opposite of all the things I've ever done, and you're going to be just
Should
fine.
be fine.
Right.
Yeah.
So I was married for 19 years, and that relationship kind of devolved into kind of a functional co-parenting relationship.
Mhm.
We didn't fight much. We didn't F much. We became more like brother, sister than man, woman. We just lost that.
Mhm.
And I don't think that was very appealing to my ex-wife, but certainly wasn't to me. So I initiated a divorce, and that's where I made my first mistake. I just rebounded immediately into another relationship, which of
Mhm.
course was the dead opposite. I mean, it
Right.
was all sex. We were together for 2.5 years and we got engaged. And 6 months before we were to be married, she broke up with me.
Mhm.
And that one destroyed me. I mean, I had like a year-long midlife crisis where I wasn't sleeping well, eating well, had heart palpitations, obsessive thinking. I became a lousy father that year. My career suffered. I was just a mess.
Mhm.
And that's when I made the second mistake, which was the same as the first one. I didn't reach out to anybody for help. I didn't ask questions of myself. I didn't attempt to learn anything.
Mm-hmm.
I was, and it's funny now to say this, but it's so common. If you'd have asked me back then, and people did, Roy, why is your love life kind of messed up? And I would have said, in all seriousness, it's because I just haven't met the right woman yet.
Right.
Right. I was convinced it was them.
Yeah.
It was my ex-wife. Oh, it was my ex-fiance. Now, to get over my ex-fiance, I didn't know what to do with all the pain I was in. Rather than working with someone and processing and learning and grieving and perhaps growing, I just joined about 4 different dating sites. I was just going to find me a new woman to help me forget about that one. At the time, I was single and I thought I was emotionally available, but I wasn't, because when I look back, I was simply using these other women I met online to kind of help me forget about the last one.
Right.
Just distract me. So I appeared single, I appeared available, but I really wasn't. So you can imagine the amount of drama that caused when these mixed messages were coming to the surface. But it was at that point, a friend of mine looked at me and said, Roy, do you think maybe you should talk to someone? And I was literally like, why? I mean, because it never occurred to me that I might have something to do with it.
Right.
That's how big fat my ego is. I was like, I just can't find the right woman yet. It never occurred to me that I'm the common denominator in all the pictures here.
Right.
Maybe it's got something to do with you. So I hired a coach. And I think one of the first things that she said to me, because she knew my story a little bit, she says, Roy, I don't want to hear about your ex-wife. I don't want to hear about your ex-fiance. I don't want to hear about all these crazy women online that are doing you wrong. I want to know if you want to look in the mirror. I want to know if you want to have a conversation about what you are doing to attract all these dynamics and all this pain and this nightmare. I want to know, do you want to grow in self-awareness? Because I'm just not interested in you telling me and blaming all the women for all the things that they've done to you.
Right. How did you respond?
I went in that direction, but kicking and screaming, if I'm going to be honest with you. I was still convinced that it's all their fault, but I was in so much pain and I was so confused as to why the rest of my life was going pretty good,
right,
pretty successful professionally and so forth. It was just my love life I couldn't make work. So I think I had enough pain to say, okay, I'll look in the mirror. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the funny part of the whole thing is once I kind of opened that door and I was honestly ready to ask the question, what am I doing to attract these things? And what do I not know about myself? It really was me.
Right. It's
It
an
really
annoying truth to realize,
yes.
Isn't it?
It wasn't them at all. I was completely wrong. Now, I mean, they're human. They had their problems. I'm not saying these women were perfect. No way. But I did have some limiting beliefs. I had mommy issues is what I discovered. Maybe we talk about that sometime, but I had a dysfunctional relationship with my mother that was playing itself out just sort of unconsciously. And it left certain beliefs about me, beliefs about what I thought I had to be in order to get the attention and affection of a beautiful woman.
Mm-hmm.
My wires were all messed up. When I began to see that, it was kind of a kick in the gut, because it's really fun to blame everybody else, to blame your ex-wife,
It's a
your
lot easier to
ex-husband.
blame everybody
It's
else.
so fun to do that. But when you kind of notice like, oh God, no, I mean, I didn't know this about me. It was a kick in the gut because I had to own that, but it liberated me because I got out of the victim mindset where I felt disempowered. What am I going to do? I got to just get lucky and meet the right woman. Out of that mindset into the mindset that I could work on myself. I could grow in that part of my life and change the trajectory of my love life.
Right.
Okay. And that's what happened.
How did that translate into diving into the work of being a relationship coach?
So when I came out of that and I saw how powerful what happened to me, opening myself up to looking in the mirror with the coach working with me.
Mm-hmm.
When I got done, I was like, man, that's what I want to do now with my life. That's why I'm a coach. I'm like, I'm here telling people in the world, you got to come see what I found.
Mm-hmm.
I want to do for you what my coach did for me.
Mm-hmm.
And all I need is for you to be willing to look in the mirror. So whenever I get a client that's willing to do that and not blame everybody else and really do their work,
Mhm.
that is like so exciting because I feel like a trail guy. Like I've been down this trail. I've climbed Mount Everest. I know how to get there.
Yeah.
If you just want to go, I can get you there.
Right.
And your love life can be turned around just like mine. Because what happened to me wasn't because I was special and God didn't smile on me. No, I did a particular work. I did a particular process that is transferable.
Well, that's a beautiful opening for what we're going to talk on today. So, we're going to touch on two parts today, and I'm excited for both. I've been listening on repeat your podcast episode about masculine and feminine energies. So,
Mhm.
I really want to dive into that. Not super deep, because as you know, we could spend hours and hours and hours talking
Sure.
about masculine and feminine energy.
Oh,
And then
wonderful.
I'd love to dive deeper into the most common ways that we unconsciously sabotage our lives, our love lives, because Lord knows I've practiced every possible way of doing it, like professionally in lots of different areas of my life.
Mhm.
So let's frame up our conversation on the masculine and feminine. We don't want to
Right.
go too deep into this, but give me like a as quick as possible. I know these are like really big concepts, but a
Right.
quick description of masculine energy and feminine energy.
Yeah, the masculine feminine discussion in our world today with all the gender issues and stuff going on, this is kind of a hotbed topic.
Mhm.
But it doesn't have to be if we really properly understand what masculine and feminine are.
Mhm.
So the first thing is they are not genders. Just because you have a penis doesn't mean you are at home in the masculine energy. And just because you have a vagina doesn't mean you're at home in the feminine. So they have nothing to do with gender. These are, frankly, they're just energies that exist in the universe. The masculine and feminine, we see it all the time. It's what makes for magnetic attraction, right? If you have two magnets, if they actually pull toward each other, it's because they're opposite,
Mhm.
right? You try to put two magnets together that are the same and you can't do it. They repel each other. So these are forces in the universe. They make up what is called electromagnetism, one of the four primary forces in the universe. Even around our Earth, we have a magnetic field of north and south, and these are universal energies, and they exist within us as human beings and
Mhm.
animals too. They're just universal energies. Some of the most important things to recognize is all of us have both energies, but most of us are more at home in one than the other.
Right.
So I like to say we all have two arms normally. Most of us are right-handed or left-handed. There's a few people who are ambidextrous. It's very rare. So that's kind of what it's like. We have both of these energies, but we're more familiar with, we're more comfortable with what we call our lead energy.
Mhm.
Okay. Now, most of the time, females are aligned with the feminine. Most of the time, males with the masculine, but not always. And just briefly, what the transgender conversation is really about is people saying, I know what kind of body I have, but I don't feel like that. In other
Mhm.
words, they're saying my masculine or feminine doesn't match my biology.
Right.
So they just want to be identified by their psychology, by how they feel, rather than what equipment they have.
Mhm.
That to me sounds fair. That's all they're saying is I'm one of those people whose inner energies don't match what the traditional body type says it's supposed to be. The idea here is that, like the magnets, opposites attract. So in relationship, one of the first things that a single person needs to do, and it's what I do with my clients, is let's make sure what your lead energy is. So if let's say a person is more identified with the feminine, then if we understand this magnetic thing, then the more feminine this person can be in moments of intimacy or in the arenas of meeting people and connecting, the more feminine, the stronger her magnet becomes for the masculine
Can
because
you
they are drawn to each other.
can you give us an example of like what would more feminine, how would we present in that way? How do we show up in that way?
Yeah, the feminine, when it comes flowing through the body, it's a priority toward love and connection and people and relationship and emotion and celebration and communion. It's the commitment to like horizontal relationship. It's about connecting. It's about the flow of love in relation. That's the priority. It's like that flow of love is what's really important to a feminine person. The masculine is more of a vertical energy. It's more about consciousness. It's more about like, where am I going? How am I going to get there? It's more about goals and focus, discipline and structure and direction. But the key is those energies are opposite. And whenever you put them near each other, there's a spark between them, just like two battery cables. You touch them. If you want to create attraction, you need to know what is your lead energy. And then the stronger you can make that, the more powerful your magnet becomes. But in the world today, what's going on is women are being encouraged, or people with the feminine energy are being encouraged to sort of dismiss that. Your life has to be about kicking ass and taking names. You got to wear the pants. You got to have big balls. That's a good message of empowering women to be politically and socially and financially powerful. And that's fine if it's in the marketplace, if it's about your career. But what happens if you bring that energy into intimate moments? You're kind of animating the masculine. And two masculines push each other apart. The message to women nowadays is to become more like men. And there's not the distinction made. That's fine in your careers. You should. But in your personal life, if you lose track with your feminine heart of a desire to be cherished, your desire to be seen, your desire to be connected with, if you lose the juicy flow of love, he may respect you. He may want to do business with you, but he's not going to want to claim your heart.
Right.
Because your heart feels like his buddy's heart.
Yeah.
Right.
Why would I date my best friend?
Exactly. Exactly. Now, people might say, well, what about homosexual relationships? Well, if you look close, there's always a masculine and a feminine. Right. I mean, the most famous same-sex couple that I know of, I think, is Ellen DeGeneres and Portia. If you've seen those two, it's like you can tell that Ellen really holds the masculine. That's where sexual attraction happens, is when there's opposite. Men are being told that masculinity is toxic. And of course it can be, but not the healthy masculine is not toxic. But men are told to diminish that, to be softer, to be more nice guys and stuff. And so men they kind of lose their edge. They lose their sense of direction. They lose their sense of presence, right? Which is really what the masculine is. The feminine is radiance. The masculine is presence, and radiance wants presence, and presence wants radiance. Right. But men are told that your masculine isn't good, and women are told your feminine isn't good. And so everything's all messed up. Right. Because we can't differentiate between the toxic versions and the healthy versions.
Well, and we're not shown healthy examples of that either. I mean, everything that we see on TV and on movies and everything is extremes of both. And also the worst of both, because people get addicted into seeing that. I know in your podcast episode, you touched on like being balanced in masculine and feminine in all other areas of life, but in your intimate relationship. And I just want to really like double tap and clear that up. It's very specific that you're saying here in the context of your romantic relationship with your partner. That is where you really want to center in on your home energy. Now, I'd love to ask you, because it's something that like I've been learning more about the feminine. And as someone who grew up with that message of women can do anything that men can, and all about independent women, and I'm 1,000% behind it. But then I look at that spark, that intimacy in my relationship. How do I shift out of the balance where you're embodying masculine and feminine in your work? So sometimes you're really pursuing and you're driving forward and you're going after your goals where you're in your masculine. And sometimes you're more in your flow and you're receiving and you're allowing, which is more in your feminine. How do we shift from that 9 to 5 energy into I'm home, my husband is home, standing more into my feminine energy, which I do want to add this in, that as I stand more in my feminine, it actually calls forward the masculine in my partner. So I think this is really helpful, regardless of which your home energy is, that we're not forcing or manipulating our partner to show up in a certain way, but when we're out of our home energy, we're not allowing them to show up in what's natural to them either. So can you give me a little bit of context of like, how do we step out of that balance and lean more into our home energy?
Right. Beautiful question. And I'll take the second one first. It is very true that the more that you embody your home energy, you create the space for the other person to really exhibit theirs. It's almost like in any moment, there has to be masculine and feminine in a moment. That they're like the two faces of God. They're the yin and yang, they're
Mhm.
spirit, flesh, they're Shiva Shakti. If you're taking up the masculine, you'll put your man in the feminine. If he takes the feminine, he'll put you in the, because it just has to be that way.
Mhm.
And when we're being asked to embody something that isn't natural to us, it starts to feel frustrating, right? But
Mhm.
that's a great insight that you're not manipulating. You're just embodying what feels so natural and easy in your spirit. Your first question is even better. And frame it again for me.
So we're in our 9 to 5. We're
Yes.
practicing the balance between the two, and now
Right.
we're coming home back into
Yep.
our intimate relationship.
Got it. Got it. And this is where I get to really champion for women right now and say that it's harder to be a woman than a man,
Mhm.
or it's harder to be feminine in this world than masculine.
Yeah.
Because 9 to 5, I don't care if you're working at Victoria's Secret, it's masculine. There are budgets and schedules and sales and quotas, and you got to get things done. And the business world's a masculine environment. I don't care
Mhm.
what the nature of the company. It's just that's the nature of what business is.
Right.
So you're there all day and you're animating you have masculine, you're using it. You're using that masculine muscle. You come home and you're going into intimate setting. If you bring that energy, you're going to either cause your man to have to go into his feminine. Men, when they're at work all day and then they go on a date that night, they can stay in the same energy.
Mhm.
Right? I've been focused and disciplined and structured and bringing presence all day long. Hey, I'll just do that on my date because that's what she loves. The sense that you're paying attention, you're on time, you have a plan, you have integrity, you're honest with what you're wanting, and men don't have to make any shifts. The feminine has to shift. So there are a number of practices. The first is to know that you do need to shift. You need to take off the work stuff.
Right.
So I encourage my clients to not only get out of their work clothes. Like if you've got a date on Friday night, you're working all day, don't wear the clothes you went to work in. Even if you think they might be appropriate for the date, it's all poison with that masculine crap you did all day.
So
It's like,
it's not about like having to dress like a specific version of like sexy or any kind of like specific image, but it's
no,
really just about like shifting into really embodying a new state of being. So it could be a
right,
similar type of outfit. You wore a dress to work, you wear a dress to the date, but
right,
simply changing that outer garment helps you
right,
shift into your energy.
right. And that just shows me how dangerous this topic is because when I say feminine, I'm not talking about like the blonde bimbo. I'm not talking about Kim Kardashian and
Yeah, we don't
the
need to go
what.
low cut shirts and like push up
Yeah,
bras
no,
just
that's
in order to
not
go for
it.
a date,
Right.
but it's just really,
Right. I think one of the most feminine people that I see in Hollywood is Queen Latifah.
mm,
And she doesn't look like a runway model. She doesn't
mhm,
look like a Victoria's Secret model, but that woman glows.
mhm,
That woman has a shine in her eye, I think, right? The way she carries herself just looks kind of juicy, right? So
mhm,
it's not about a certain body shape or how high your cheekbones are or any of that stuff. This is an internal energy. But there are practices to shift out of your masculine all day. And
mhm.
so, yeah, you change your clothes. You can even do a smudging on yourself. Like I've told many clients, if you're going from work and you're meeting a guy on an online date or something after work, I would go in the bathroom, I would change clothes, and I would just do I'm brushing my body right now. People can't see it, but
Right.
I would kind of brush off all this work stuff, all this drivenness and direction and focus, and just kind of brush it away and just see, and then sort of put on my openness, my responsiveness, my desire to be seen, my desire to be connected in intimacy, my desire to flow, my desire to trust.
Mhm,
I mean, the feminine, nothing makes the feminine more alive than realizing I can just surrender to a trustable man.
mhm,
It's like, I made decisions all day today. I don't want to make them in my personal life. I want to be with a man who I know I can trust
mhm,
because he's good at that. He lives in that realm. So I want to let that part of myself go, but I trust that he can drive the car. I can surrender some of that and just embody my feelings, my emotion, my desire for connection. It's kind of hard to describe. It's kind of hard to describe these things,
Well, that helps.
right?
That makes me feel better, Roy, because like I said, it's been an interesting challenge to understand what that looks like. And I know within my work, I've gotten better at recognizing the masculine and feminine energy at work. So I'll have days where yesterday was a great example. Like I was just focused and very, very like this, and then this, and then this, and then this, and like knocking things out. And then there's days where I'm writing content and things are just flowing through and I forget entirely about the clock. I don't have a to-do list. I'm just in that moment, receiving things through. Things just feel really effortless. And not that masculine energy isn't effortless, but it's a different kind. I'm efforting more in the masculine because I'm actually driving forward.
Right.
I want to maybe clarify this a little because when I was thinking about this and I was thinking about my relationship with my husband, I was like, well, I know my home energy is the feminine. I was thinking about, so what does it look like for him to be in the masculine? And I want to say this carefully because it's not that he doesn't come across as masculine. He has this like amazing grounded energy to him, which is what really drew me to him at the first place. We've been together 11 years and there was a space somewhere in there that things went really sideways. And I had this really amazing realization while I was listening to the podcast on the masculine and feminine. And I made notes here. I'm just going to read my notes because I want to keep it concise. A few years ago, we were going through this tough time where we felt really disconnected and our intimacy had dwindled to like a trickle. Like it was like every few months. And I remember just being like, this is not what I wanted. What is going on? And when I thought about how you describe the masculine and feminine, and I want to just add clarity that in this context, my husband isn't what you would think of as the typical career-driven guy. Like he has no interest in being a manager or being a CEO. That's not his vibe at all. But I had such clarity on this difficult time in our relationship, thinking about how you presented this. So at the time that we were going through this really rough patch, he was in a job that he absolutely hated. He was miserable. He was fenced in by like a lot of garbage rules and management that wasn't supporting and really wasn't allowing him to do what he's so really good at, which is making sales. Once he finally got out of the job, and I just want to add that in this dark period, I had a lot going on as well. I had a design business that I was at the point of going, do I still want to be here? Our intimate energy had faded to the point that we questioned whether or not we would stay together because we weren't sure if this was working anymore for either of us. And I think it shocked the two of us to kind of go, oh my God, are we at that point? Are we going to call it a day? We decided to stay committed. And a little while later, he got a new job. He got into a new place where he has a really powerful management team, an ownership structure that is like completely behind what he does and lets him stand in his genius, which is really working with clients and creating sales and building the business, which is just like, it fires him up. And our whole relationship massively shifted out of that. I didn't know at the time that that was him standing in masculine energy. I knew that he was miserable in his work and I could see tangibly why, but hadn't fully understood how that was impacting our intimate relationship. As a pair, we were great.
Right.
But as an intimate pair, we were falling off the rails in every possible way.
Right. That makes perfect sense. What I know about the masculine, whether it's in a male or female, is it's really about a mission toward freedom. The feminine is about the flow of love. The masculine is about a mission toward freedom. Anytime a person that is identified with the masculine, anytime their mission isn't working, I'm not surprised that your love life became a mess. Because when that's off, the masculine person can't function. Their primary kind of their identity in a sense is if they don't know their purpose, if they're not in it, if they're not doing what they're born to do, or if they're doing something they don't like, you're not going to be able to be in a good relationship with them because he's just going to be messed up with that. And he's not going to feel like an attractive person. He's going to lose sexual interest because he feels like he's limp, right? I'm not living erect. I'm not in my genius. I'm not, my mission is off. So I'm not surprised that your relationship got sideways for a while. And I'm not surprised that it's shifted now that he feels like he's on purpose and he knows who he is. And that even produces results in attractiveness in the feminine, because the feminine, you will never hear a masculine person say that the thing I really love about my feminine partner is she's a rock. She's dependable.
Right.
No, he's the rock. She's my wild thing. She's my flow. She's the water to my riverbanks. It's difficult for a feminine person to really trust and to really give themselves to a masculine person who's living a life of limpness.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm settling for this. There's not a respect there. He's kind of collapsed,
Mm-hmm.
right? So the more he becomes uncollapsible and purposeful, and he knows kind of what he's doing and what he's about, the sexier he becomes.
Mm-hmm.
This is why women say, I like a man who has ambition.
Mm-hmm.
What they're saying is, I'm attracted to a man when he knows who he is and where he's going and what he's about. There's
Right.
something reassuring to the feminine
Mm-hmm.
when you know who you are. And it's not that the woman has no idea where she wants to go. She does. But if the man doesn't know where he's going, then she can't decide, do I want to get on that training? Because I want to go in the same place.
Mm-hmm.
So I tell all my men clients, the most attractive thing you can do is be able to answer the question, what is your life going to look like 5 years from now?
Mm-hmm.
Where do you plan on living? What do you plan on doing? How much money do you plan on making? What kind of family do you want? What kind of structure do you want to be living? And then you meet a woman and you say, this is what my life is about. This is where I'm going. And if she's like, well, I've always wanted to go in that direction too. She can't decide if you're the one, if you don't have a rudder in the water. She doesn't know, where are you going? What are you doing? I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And so it messes up the polarity of the chemistry and the sexuality when that happens. So that's a beautiful story for you.
I want to just pull on that thread a tiny little bit. The initial reaction, and this, I love tuning into myself to kind of go like, oh, well, there's some interesting programming that came up. So when you described, know where you're going, where do you want to be in 5 years? Do you want to have kids? How much money you're going to be making? To be clear, it's not that they're interviewing for, is this person going to be check all the boxes, right? Like, I refuse to be with anybody who's not making $100,000 or more every year. Whatever.
Right.
I mean, if that's your value, knock yourself out. But like, it's really about that masculine energy, understanding what they want. And I'll bring that back to my husband. He, from the very beginning, was clear that he never wanted to be a manager. He never wanted to like own his own business or doing any of those things. And I never cared about that. I know that he met a lot of women who did, because it kept coming over and over. And after like 4 years, I'm like, I got this about you. You don't have to keep telling me. I don't care what you're doing. I want you to have joy in what you're doing.
Right.
So I think it's good to clarify that so his list of like what he wanted and his structure didn't necessarily look like what we're, as the feminine energy, told we should be going after, this person who's leading the hunt and going after everything. No, I don't care if he leads 100 people. I want him to pursue me. I want to feel desired and pursued. That is my feminine, feeling that love and being seen. But professionally, as long as he understands, and I would say in the scope of his life, to your point, he understands what he wants, and that was structure that I could build with.
There's a lot of people out there in the world that want men who got to make a lot of money and all that kind of stuff. And they identify a man of purpose and integrity and trustability in financial terms. And that just speaks to how shallow that we are. I could name plenty of billionaires that you shouldn't trust as far as you could throw them, right? But they got a lot of money. But if you want to be in a relationship with them, you're right.
Good luck.
And I could also point to a man who teaches third grade and will look at you in the eye and say, I feel like God put me on the earth to work with these third graders, because you know what? They come from very bizarre backgrounds and home lives. And when they're in my classroom, I feel like I have a safe space for them to learn and grow and make friends. And what I do with them is changing the course of their entire lives. That's how important I feel like what I'm doing. And what are you going to make? 60 grand a year?
Yeah.
Okay. You don't want to be with a man who feels that purposeful and that committed to who he is and what he's doing. If you're not attracted to that, you have to look in the mirror about what you think is important. That's it. Yeah. A man really knowing like this is mine to do. You could be with the guys as my purpose is meditating to find enlightenment. That's what my life is about. Good. Now I know what that is. And do I want to be a part of that? Right. So
Mm-hmm.
it's really isn't about conquering the world. That's the phony version of masculinity. It's
Yeah.
about knowing, what have I been put on the earth here to do?
Right.
What's mine to do?
Mm-hmm.
And when you meet a guy who feels that way, just the way he looks at you, the strength that he knows, I'm called to be doing something with my life, and I would love for you to join me.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't need you. You're not going to be the most important thing. Like, I'm called to something bigger. You may be the most important person in my life, but there's something bigger that I can't be distracted from, that I feel like I'm doing. And I want you to be with me. And I want you to have your own passion. And I want to support you in yours. And I think that's when you get in really healthy dynamics.
Mm-hmm. Now, real quick before we move on from this topic, I want to, because the context of what we've been talking about has, I think, been super clear if we're talking about traditional heterosexual relationships where the gender identified woman is in feminine energy and the gender identified man is in masculine energy. But I know, and I know you know, people who are not. If I were someone whose home energy was the masculine side of things, so now my home is that structure, it is that drive, it is that clarity of focus and saying, come with me, here's where I'm going. What does that look like in the context of finding someone? Because it's, if we're led to believe that I identify as a woman and therefore I must be feminine energy, but that doesn't feel natural to me, and we're going to be messing up all of our relationships because we're standing in the wrong one. How can we clarify that a little bit for our listeners to understand you could be woman gendered in your masculine energy, and how do we, and same thing like male gendered in feminine energy, how can we give them a little bit of clarity to understand how to work with and understand and attract one another?
Part of the challenge is the culture sends messages and has assumptions that if you're female, you must be feminine.
Correct.
Right. For people that don't feel aligned like that, they're in a culture that pushes against that and gives them weird messages. So part of it is just really learning about the proper understanding of masculine and feminine and standing in that and saying, screw to the culture. I may be a female person, but I'm really identified with the masculine. My life is about a mission toward freedom. And I love making decisions, and I love being the river banks. I love taking charge. I love initiating. I love thinking about how to get someplace. It just comes natural to me.
Mm-hmm.
When you're in that energy, you're going to attract a man who is going to be more identified with the feminine and loves the fact that you want to take that role. I don't want to have to make all the decisions all the time. I would love to trust you. I would love for you to see me. I would love to kind of hold the love wing of our relationship and take responsibility for the flow of love between us and how we play. I would love to be the person that helps you rejuvenate from a long day of slaying dragons. I would love to be your Hawaii to your New York City. The feel of the differences in energy in those two, right?
Yeah.
If a female person is identified with the masculine, she's going to attract, and she's going to be attracted to a man who's more in a flow, more concerned about emotion and connection and the flow of love than conquering the world and doing all that stuff. He's going to be wanting to surrender, for him to be the one that's providing a kind of a nurture, an atmosphere of connecting and rejuvenating and inspiring and that kind of thing. So because opposites attract. Part of it is just knowing the culture will give you weird signals on that, but then you just have to stand in that and own that, and hopefully between the couple communicate about that.
Right.
So because a lot of times men who are more aligned with the feminine are getting a lot of negative vibes. So they're almost ashamed to say, I don't want to do all that. That doesn't feel natural to me. You know what? I'm more concerned about our relationship and our connection and our friends and our families and who's hurting and who's not, and helping and nurturing and comforting and those kind of things. And I just want to give myself permission to be that.
Right. I think it's a great time for us to like put a pin in this, but I want to add one last little piece here. So I think for our listeners who are in that space where you present as one gender, but you identify your home energy as, we'll call it the opposite, that really the work there is to, first of all, recognize and honor the fact that you are that energy. And
Right.
it's not something to be changed. It's not something to be
Accept it
ashamed of. It's
fully.
not
Right.
something that's like wrong with you.
Of
There's
course.
nothing wrong with you.
Right.
But also to understand that your work then is to not take up the stories and the garbage that the world tells you. That if you are a woman gendered but masculine energied person, it doesn't mean that you're stepping all over your male partner because they are more feminine energy. It's the energies are equal. They each have their own unique strengths, and they do attract because of those strengths. They work together really well. So if that's you, anybody who's listening to the podcast, let this be this lovely call in for you. All right, Roy, I just gave you nobody can see this, but I'm like, let's go. Like I just gave you the little hand wave. We'll flip the switch here. I am a dork for the subconscious mind. Truly, if you had told me 20 years ago that I'd be all about understanding how the mind works and how our beliefs work, I would have been like, you're a weirdo, but whatever. But I am obsessed with discovering how we get in our own damn way when we're trying to create our dream life. So you've got a new book out. It's called The Relationship Bootcamp. And you talk about the biggest mistake we make in our pursuit of intimacy. Tell us the mistake.
It's a little bit associated with the initial story that I shared. And I'll use an analogy. I think it really points to it to make the point. So imagine that the listener right now wants to compete in a triathlon, right? That crazy endurance race. Just imagine they want to compete, they want to do really well. Okay. Right. And further imagine, which isn't true, that I'm a former Ironman triathlon champion, now retired, and I coach people who want to compete in triathlons and be successful. So you come to me and you're like, Roy, I mean, you won the Ironman, can you help me? Because I want to do well. I'm like, great, I'd love to coach you. So we sit down and we begin talking, and you start asking me questions that it dawns on me, they're all about the day of the race. You want to know how to survive in the water in the beginning because it's a frenzy. You want to know about how to switch from the water to the bike and the bike to the marathon, and you're out there all day. So you're asking questions about when do I eat? How much do I eat? How much water should I be drinking? And I'm thinking to myself, these are good questions. They are important, kind of. But I'm sitting here as a former champion saying, you're not asking me what you should be asking me. You should be asking me, how do I get my butt in shape for this thing? Because if I'm 70 pounds overweight, I am not going to go 50 yards in the water.
Correct.
I don't care. I have the best strategy in the freaking world. But if I'm not in shape, I will never go the distance. So it's all about your conditioning. It's all about getting ready for the race. Then we can talk about some strategy. This is the biggest mistake people make. They come to me and they ask me race day questions. Roy, where should I go on Saturday to meet people? Which online platform should I use? What do I write in my profile? When I meet someone, how do I get them to approach me? Or how do I approach them? What do I say? Right? They're asking me important things, but that's not what you should be asking me about. You should be, right, how do I get my butt in shape so that when I meet someone, we can go the distance? How can I get myself ready for something real? So the biggest mistake people make is they don't focus on getting themselves ready. They focus on, where do I find someone? Right?
I love what you said. I want to just touch on that a little further. So you said basically, how do I get myself ready for when I meet someone? Not if I meet someone, not how do I meet someone, but when I meet that person, how do I ensure that I'm ready? And I want to just add in something that I don't remember honestly where I learned this from. Before I met my husband, I mean, I dated and I'd had boyfriends in the past, but in the times that I was single, I never ever worried about being single. And I met my husband when I was 29. And in the late 20s, there's a lot of pressure of like, why haven't you found somebody? Blah, blah, blah. And it's so easy to get caught up in the stories of there must be something wrong with me. I haven't met the right person. It's whatever. And I think as we just go further in life,
it gets worse in your 30s.
But for myself, there was this truth that I just knew that said to me, there are two people that are part of this. And even though I feel ready, I feel that I'm in shape, I'm ready to run my race. The other person also needs to be ready. And until they're ready, this won't work. I can be striving and pushing and kind of whining and moaning of why haven't they shown up yet? But
Mhm.
until that person is ready for me
Mhm.
and in their own kind of physical shape, this won't work anyway. And my
Mhm.
husband is a great example because had we met even a year earlier,
Mhm.
nothing would have happened. He was
Mhm.
still married at the time. Like he was at the end of
Yeah.
the relationship and about
Right.
to get separated and
Right.
divorced, but there would have been no space for us to develop anything separate. So I just want to kind of add that in. I think that's really helpful that we want to get into our own best shape so that when we meet that person, we're ready to run the race with them.
Right. It's even, I don't know if the word insidious is the right word, but it's even more than that. It's the law of attraction is a very interesting thing to explore. There's a lot of woo woo about it, a lot of nutty things, in my opinion, being said about it.
You
All
have
it
a you
means,
have a great sentence that says the law of attraction. How did you put it? I wrote it
it,
down here. It
it's
should
real,
scare the hell out of you.
right? The law of attraction is real, and that should scare the hell out of you. And here's why.
Yeah.
All it means is like attracts like.
Mm.
That's really all it means. The birds of a feather flock together. So in relationship, that means whatever your relationship fitness level is, we're talking about, being in
Mm.
relationship shape, you will always attract someone who is at the same level you are.
Mm.
In other words, you're never going to be in a relationship with someone that you're way more evolved than them,
Or it won't
or
last.
right. It won't work. That
Mm-hmm.
like attracts like. You're going to be on the same level of consciousness. It may show up differently in different parts of your lives,
Mm-hmm.
but you're never going to be in a relationship with someone who is healthier or less healthy than you are. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not in very good relationship shape, the law of attraction is going to be your worst nightmare because it says you're going to attract someone else who's not in
It's
very
not a
good
good
relationship
shape.
shape. And then you're going to do that drama thing. You're going
Right.
to be kind of both dysfunctional to some way and be trying to create your own codependent thing.
And to
So,
clarify, it's not that you're both unfit, you're not in the right shape. It's not that you're both out of shape in the same way. Like it's not that you both
right.
necessarily have commitment issues or whatever, but
No, right. Exactly.
you're
Right.
sort of the similar level of like overweightness.
Yeah. I'll give you a perfect example. Right now, all the rage is the attachment theory stuff.
Okay.
Okay. Anxious attachment, avoidant attachment
Mm,
styles.
mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, being in the anxious style or the avoidant style are dysfunctional styles. I don't mean that like in some big negative way. Okay. I'm an anxious style when I'm left to my ego. So they're not secure attachment styles. They're not the healthy styles.
Mm-hmm.
They attract each other. The person
Mm,
who's anxious and I need a relationship and I got it, and I'm needy and clingy and seems to always attract someone who's a little afraid of commitment, right?
right.
Like attracts like. They're
Mm-hmm.
they're different, but they're on the same kind of level of being not as healthy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So then the law of attraction is working against you.
Mm-hmm.
This is the way you help a person recognize if you're in this pattern or you're in Groundhog Day, where I seem to keep attracting the same dynamics. I meet someone, we get along for 2 or 3 months and it falls apart. Or I meet someone, they're commitment phobic, or they're addicts, or whatever it might be. There's 1,000 different things people say.
Mm-hmm.
How do I find a healthy person?
Wait.
I don't want to
What
find
dating app are they on?
right. I don't want the commitment phobic anymore. I don't want the needy person anymore. I don't want the emotionally available anymore. How do I find a person who's really kind of high functioning person? I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, that's the wrong question.
Mm,
You will always attract after your own kind.
right.
So the solution is get yourself healthier,
Mm,
because the healthier you are, you will then attract someone who's as healthy as you are.
right.
So
So
now the
it's
law of
more, how do
attraction
I
works
become
for you.
that healthy person?
Right, right.
Mm,
So it's not about finding a better partner, it's being a better partner,
mm-hmm.
because then you will resonate or vibrate with people on that level,
Mm,
right? So my history, but I had a habit of always attracting women who were damsels in distress.
mm,
Okay. They were
mm-hmm.
high powered in their careers, kicking ass, taking names, making lots of money. but they were almost always single moms, and they were just overwhelmed with the whole thing
Mm.
because they were working so many hours. Then they had little kids at home and managing the household, and they were just overwhelmed and kind of being crushed by the whole thing.
Right.
So you set that aside. And now here's me being raised with a perfectionistic, harsh, emotionally distant mother. And as a little boy, what little boy doesn't want to be close to his mother? I learned as a little boy, the way I could feel some connection from my mother, to feel some warmth, was when I sort of dismissed what I wanted in my agenda, and I became a good boy. I called him
Mm.
Good Boy Roy.
Right.
When I made my life be about fulfilling my mother's agenda, then I felt some connection.
Right.
Then I felt some smile, some warmth. But if I was, quote, selfish or doing my thing or doing something that she really didn't want me to, even my dad would say, son, don't do it, man. Just do it her way. Just make her happy, son. Just if mama ain't happy, nobody happy. Right. So I learned, my mother being my first girlfriend, and let's face it, she's my first connection to the feminine world as a little
Mm-hmm.
boy. I learned that, well, the way you get the attention and affection of a woman is by making your life be about taking care of hers. So now I'm 45 years old and I'm literally meeting women within 2 weeks. I'm moving in, I'm raising her kids, getting them up to school, doing their laundry, making their beds, getting breakfast, doing the shopping, cutting the grass, washing the car, and freeing up her entire life so she can go to work. And then she has all of the free time then just to have sex with me. Because that was
Right.
my dynamic is I had women that wouldn't have sex with me. And so that was kind of the codependent thing,
Yeah.
right? I could complain to my coach, where am I going to find a woman who's kind of got it together,
Mm.
who she wants support, of course. She wants a loving partner and something, but she's got it. She's not a damsel in distress. She doesn't need to be rescued. She doesn't
Mm-hmm.
need Superman to swoop in there and I'll save you, you poor thing.
Right.
Right? Where are those women? And my coach is like, as long as you're Casanova, that's the name I gave him, or
Yeah.
as long as you're good boy Roy, you'll never meet her
Yeah.
because good boy Roy has to find a damsel. They go together like cookies and milk.
Right.
So forget about trying to find a woman who's got her crap together. Get out of your mommy issues to where you start to stand in your own power and you don't have to get love from a woman by making your life and doing all this stuff. Because I did all that stuff out of fear.
Mm-hmm.
There's no problem if a man wants to be Mr. Mom. None at all. If that's the way love moves him, wonderful. I
Mm-hmm.
was doing it because I was like, I can't get laid if I don't do this. I
Mm-hmm.
can't get a woman to want to be my girlfriend if I don't do these things.
Right.
Because the only way I get attention and affection is if I dismiss my own wants, my own needs, and I just, mommy, I'll be a good boy. My work was not about finding a healthy woman. It was like, get out of that crap. Because as long as I'm in that, I will always attract that, like Groundhog Day.
Right.
And so that's my appeal to people. If you got some weird pattern, just give up thinking you're going to find a person who's evolved or functioning at a higher level because
Until you do the work.
until you do your own work. The
Yeah.
law of attraction is killing you,
Mm-hmm.
right?
I have a question on that topic that I kind of want to check in with you on. So, one of the things that I noticed in my life, and this isn't like, I think it's actually been in every avenue of my life. It's not restricted like just to relationships. But I'll talk about it with relationships as well as physical fitness, is that as I grew and I met myself more and I took ownership of my life and my reality more, I was becoming the person who would call in that balanced, loving, strong, stable person. But on the way, I also called in a couple of people who are not anywhere near where I was going, but were attracted to that energy. And I'll filter that as well, like thinking about physical fitness. So it's been almost 2 years now. I went on my own health journey, released a little over 50 pounds, really strengthened my body. I was strong before, but like strengthened in, but the releasing of the weight was huge. And the amount of people that would come up to me going, oh my God, how did you did it? Like I had some magic pill that I just needed to tell them about. And when I told them, I learned about the psychology of why we eat. I learned about food and I learned how to nourish my body with food, exercise, and like love and well-being. It's like I was speaking a different language to them. There's just like no concept of that. As you're evolving, as you're growing, it's not like a one and done where you start. I imagine your clients, like, they don't start with you and a month later they're like, oh my God, I'm all fixed and now I found my soulmate. Like, there's time, and there might be a few misfires on that journey, but
Oh
as
yeah.
they get closer, they will begin to align with someone who is at the level and can grow with them. I think that's important to add as well. I'm not the same person I was when I was 29. My husband isn't the same person he was when he was 29.
Mhm.
We made the agreement to grow together,
Mhm.
and we have our different ways of doing that, but it's maintained that strong relationship.
Mhm.
Maybe we can talk about that a little bit. That journey of going from, oh shit, I'm the problem. Yep, it's me. Okay,
Mhm.
to, okay, here's this amazing person who's at the level that I want to be at. Talk about that a little bit, maybe in between, if you could.
That's sort of the path it takes. Is you have your wake up moment. It's not them, it's me. And I need to work on some things going on inside of me. And that turns you into a certain kind of person.
Mm,
And now you're really kind of into self-awareness. You're really kind of into, okay, I'm not playing victim anymore and blaming everybody for things. I want to take responsibility and work on myself and make changes and stuff. So you end up now, you see the world differently. Just like you said, you see food in your body and you see it differently now.
mhm,
When you're on this kind of growth path, when you meet someone, though they might be cute, right? He might be adorable, but when you start to talk to him, you're going to soon find out, are you actually compatible in ways that matter?
right.
Meaning, is this guy on a growth path? If they're not, if they're in a kind of a victim mindset, you're just gonna feel, I don't mean judgmental, but you're just gonna feel, ew, like I don't fit.
Mhm,
It's like two pieces of a puzzle that don't fit together.
right.
Because I'm a certain kind of person. I'm operating in the world with a certain perspective.
Mhm,
And I think real compatibility is when your values align, your
mhm,
commitments align. Not that you both like tennis or something. Who cares about that? You want to live the same lifestyle,
mhm,
right? Because both of you are wanting to grow and stuff. That's what sort of saved your marriage, is that you weren't going to bail. You were going to work on this. You were going to explore it. You were going to, what can we learn about ourselves? Like, why are we disconnected here? I
mhm,
didn't hear you say a lot of blame, and I didn't hear you say that he was blaming you. It was more like, what's going on between us? That's what saved it. You guys were both operating from the same state of consciousness. Like, we want to grow, we want to learn,
mhm,
right? So I think that's what happens is you make this shift from being kind of victim to doing your work and taking responsibility, like my story shows.
mhm,
And now I'm just not going to fit in an intimate relationship with someone who doesn't see it that way, doesn't want to live that way. It just, one of the major commitments I use with my clients is a commitment. It's called responsibility. And the whole idea is that we all have results in our lives, right? You have a size of your body, my body, size of our bank accounts, the condition of our love lives, the relationship statuses we have, right? There's all kinds of results that are occurring in our life. Okay.
mhm,
Are those results happening to me or by me?
mhm,
Most people think they happen to me, and they're
mhm.
in a victim consciousness. They're like, well, I can't really work out a lot because I work this many hours and I travel and this and that. And my genetics are this and that.
Right.
And, my love life, all the good ones are taken or gay, or I just haven't met the right person yet. And we can be
Yeah.
in that kind of blame sort of mindset, right?
Mm,
With responsibility, when you look at your results, you're either going to be a blamer or a claimer. My result, I'm going to blame it, it's happening to me, or I'm going to claim responsibility. I'm
right.
making my life the way it is.
Yeah.
Somehow I'm making my body the way it is. I'm making my finances the way they are. I'm making my relationship status. When you're in that mindset, it just won't work to be in a relationship with someone who's a blamer.
Mhm,
Every problem that happens, everything goes on in the relationship. It's your fault. It's your fault. Whose fault is this? Where you're in a mindset of saying, what can I learn from this? How am I creating this?
mhm,
What am I missing? Right? Those are two different ways of being in the world, and there's no compatibility with those.
right.
Another one would be communication, right? We all have a truth to say.
Mhm,
Some people are committed to revealing. I'm not keeping secrets. I'm going to let you know what's happening in Royville. What am I thinking, feeling, wanting? Even if I think you might not like it, I am committed to being transparent.
Mm.
I'm committed to living out loud with you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what if the other person in the relationship is committed to withholding and playing games and
Mm.
speaking half truths or outright deception?
Mm-hmm.
We're not playing the same game here.
Right.
Like, you're playing soccer, I'm playing basketball. You can't play those two games together. They don't work.
Yeah.
Okay? So that's what I mean about when you're functioning healthier,
Mm-hmm.
taking responsibility, being a revealer and not a concealer. The law of attraction says you're just not going to find yourself attracted to people who don't want to live that way.
Right.
You're just on a different set of tracks.
Mm-hmm.
That's the wisdom and how to find and create a healthy dynamic. It's, what do I need to do to get myself in relationship shape?
Right. So let's talk about the 7 relationship muscles. You talk about those in your book. I'd love to just kind of have a quick overview of like, what are the 7 muscles?
Yeah.
And just to be clear, these are the 7 muscles that we want to strengthen to
Yeah.
become relationship ready so that we're fit, ready for our healthy, sustainable, intimate relationship. I want to just really like make sure that that's super clear. This isn't like healthy, sustainable friendships. Absolutely, they can be helpful, but we're talking about an intimate, romantic,
Right.
beautifully sexy relationship
Yeah.
where you're together, but you're also like hot for each other.
Right. But they also transfer to good friendships or good parent-child relationships and stuff. But right, we're talking about the intimate relationship setting. Yeah.
Correct. So what are the 7 relationship muscles? And then maybe let's dive deeper into like 1 or 2 of your favorites.
Yeah. Let's do. Okay. The first thing I want to say is when I came up with the title for the book, Relationship Bootcamp, hardcore training for life, love, and the pursuit of intimacy. My wife said, I'm concerned that people are going to think if they're not totally into fitness, that they're going to be turned off by the book because it uses fitness metaphors. So that's the first thing I want to say. So you don't have to be into fitness to be in this conversation. I just simply recognize that my bookshelves are filled with relationship self-help books and different things. And most of them are dry, clinical, shrink speak that it's not enjoyable to read. It's difficult to understand. And so I wanted to have a conversation about what it means to have healthy relationship commitments and dynamics, but package it in a way that was more easily relatable and more playful and fun. So I talk about getting in relationship shape, and therefore you have 7 relationship muscles. If they're strong, you're good to go. If they're weak and flabby, you're going to have a lot of drama.
Right.
Okay. So that's kind of where it's coming from, is just trying to make this a more enjoyable exploration.
Love it.
So these 7 muscles are actually just 7 important areas of our lives that the more evolved we are in these areas, the more high functioning we are in these areas, the more we're going to be able to create harmonious, connected, drama-free relationships. Okay. The first one, which gets pretty deep, the relationship muscle is called your relationship to reality. One of the issues is in the world, one of the things that makes you the most unattractive as a partner is when you are completely uncomfortable with being single, when you are desperate, when you're needy, when your loneliness has got you so much that you try too hard, you come on too strong, maybe you make relationships move too quickly, right? The needy energy is a huge turnoff. Where does the needy energy come from? It's coming from a sense that on the deepest level, my current reality, as let's say as a single person, if I'm in resistance to that, if I don't like that, if I have to change it, if I'm mad at God, I don't like being single, you're going to move in a very unattractive way in the world.
Yeah.
Conversely, the more you're trusting that, yes, I do want to be in a relationship, but I'm not a leper. I'm just single. There's nothing wrong here. I'm okay. I'm trusting God. I'm trusting life, the universe, whatever you call it. I'm just okay. I can breathe. Then when you're in the dating scene, you're not like, do you like me? Please like me. Because we make all kinds of weird decisions when we really want to try to get someone to like us. We have sex too soon. We maybe spend money in ways that we shouldn't. We sometimes stay in relationships longer than we should because, oh my God, I can't be single again, or we settle, we put up with certain things because at least it's better than being single. This first one is, can you accept your reality? of where life has you right now, if you can be truly non-resistant to it, truly like evolve, like I'm trusting, your insides relax. And then when you're on a date, it's like, I'd love to connect with you, but I don't need you. Like,
Right.
I'm okay right now. I'm just single.
Mm.
That's nothing wrong. So your energy shows up more available, more attractive. Okay. So that's such a deep topic. We won't spend time on that. Another muscle is your relationship to your mind, that voice in your head. I sometimes say that people have a relationship coach that lives in their head, and it's full of shit.
Yes, it is.
Have you noticed how often your mind will start giving you advice on
Really terrible advice as well.
terrible advice, right?
Yes.
You haven't heard from someone. See, because the mind does not like not knowing.
Hmm.
And so when you don't know something, like you met someone and you gave it your number and they didn't call you and you're like, you don't know why, your mind's gonna come up with an answer.
Hmm.
And it's going to come up with an answer based upon something from your past.
Right.
Oh, you must have done this. You're a loser because your father said you would never amount to something, right? We have to do some work on that voice in our head and
Hmm.
learning to distrust it, learning to at least question its beliefs,
Mm.
its assumptions. We do, once a cheater, always a cheater. Really? I cheated on my ex-wife. Never did it again. There are so many things that we believe about love and relationships and people and assumptions we make, and we interpret people's behavior. I have a couple of different things in the chapter where we turn into, armchair psychologist. Well, if they're 40 and never been married, you know what that means.
Right.
Oh, really? Or if they've been divorced 3 times, oh, we know what that means. Right. So we have all these stories about these things. And if you believe them, they
Hmm.
will sabotage your love life. Then there's a relationship with your emotions, is the third
Right.
one. We all have emotions. Most of us just try to avoid them. Most of us are not very emotionally intelligent,
Correct.
right? We may be emotional. Oh, I feel all these feelings. I mean, I can be sad and angry and lonely and bored and stressed, but that doesn't mean we're emotionally intelligent.
Hmm.
So to be in a good relationship with someone, you have to know how to handle and feel and express your emotions in a healthy way.
Right.
And you have to know how to be with somebody else's emotions
Hmm.
in a healthy way, especially if
Hmm.
they're coming at you in an unhealthy way. Right. So if you don't know how to handle your emotions or someone else's emotions, you're just gonna have a terrible time in relationships. So
Right.
there's that muscle's got to get strong.
Hmm.
Okay. I think my favorite one to talk about is the next one. It's your relationship to your past.
Mm.
That's a relationship muscle that's got to be strong.
Hmm.
And I always joke and say that the only people in the world that don't have a past, that don't have a baggage, are the babies in the maternity ward. Everybody else,
And even they come with something.
yeah. Sometimes people reincarnation, they come in there. Yeah, exactly. We all have varying degrees of bumps and bruises and hurts from our past.
Hmm.
Sometimes they're mild because somebody cheated on you, somebody gaslighted you, ghosted you, broke up with you, lied to you. Other times there's significant trauma from our past of
Hmm.
abuse, neglect, abandonment, addiction. So there's a spectrum from the really traumatic baggage to the normal everyday kind of things that happen if you're an adult in this world.
Hmm.
So there's nothing wrong with having baggage. The issue is your baggage, is it something that merely happened or is it happening?
Mm.
Is it still alive in you? Most of us, our past is still alive in us.
Right.
So when I meet you, I often say in a relationship, it's like a menage a trois from hell. It's me and you and my past, and the three of us are in this relationship together.
Right.
In other words, if I've been cheated on or lied to, and I end up with trust issues, that's going to come between me and you when we meet.
Hmm.
I'm going to be guarded. I'm going to be suspicious.
Hmm.
I'm going to be like, you got to prove yourself to me.
Right.
You're going to almost start on probation, not for anything you did, but because my past is alive in me and I'm
Hmm.
scared. So I'm scared to open up. I'm scared to trust. I'm scared to give this relationship the freedom to move at its own pace.
Hmm.
So we build a wall around our heart, and walls will keep you safe,
Right.
but they'll keep you single.
Mhm.
Nobody can get in to hurt you, but nobody can get in to love you either. We very often have these trust issues. We have these walls that are built around us, and they will sabotage us. They will keep you single.
Mhm.
Because I haven't met any really good quality men or women who come to a date with a sledgehammer. They just don't want to come try to knock down your walls. I'm going to go to that person over there who's got their arms wide open. They're ready to play. They're ready to dance. But
Right.
you got your arms crossed across your chest because you've been hurt so much that I feel like I'm being held accountable for what the other guy or the other girl did to you.
Mhm.
And even though you're not saying it, when your past is alive in you, you can't hide it. It bleeds out of your pores. And a person will just say things like, I don't know, she was really cute. And I enjoyed talking to her, but I just felt like I couldn't reach her. I don't know. I
Mhm.
just felt like the relationship should have been moving along in a little different way. I just felt, I don't know what it was. Are you going to see her again? No, no, I met this person and I feel like we're connecting immediately, right? There was a more
Mhm.
of an openness, a receptivity. So none of that is being said to shame someone that can relate to having some baggage,
Mhm.
but it is to alert you that your baggage, even though you're trying to protect yourself because you don't want to get hurt again, it's actually keeping you single.
Right.
It's sabotaging you.
Mhm.
So the work has to be done. How do I let go of my past? I can't forget what happened. That's not it. But how do I forgive? How do I learn lessons from the past?
Mm.
How do I learn maybe to set new boundaries? Or how do I let go of that negative energy so that when I meet you, I'm like wide open,
Yeah.
right? Because trust is an interesting thing. Because in our world, you will hear people say, when I meet someone, oh, no, no, I don't trust them. Trust takes time. They have to prove to me that they're trustworthy. And if their character and their behavior shows, then I will slowly begin to trust them.
Mm.
But what you're saying is, I'm starting from a place of I don't trust you.
Right.
And I'm just saying to you, they know it.
Right.
And good people don't want to fight through that because they
Mhm.
know this is not about me.
Mhm.
I don't want to have to try to break through your walls and earn your trust. I mean, like, what the hell did I do? I don't want to earn your trust.
Right.
It's like the other way, when you let go of your past, you meet a person and it's like, I already trust you.
Mhm.
I trust that you're going to be the person that you're going to be. Let's find out.
Right.
But my heart's open. I'm not saying you don't have boundaries. I'm saying you have sex on the first date or you give somebody your social security number. I'm not saying that, right? I'm just saying, but you're open. You're
Yeah.
open to interact and be playful and be responsive. If they show you that they can't be trusted, they say they'll meet you at 7 o'clock. They show up at 7:30. And then the next time you see them, they do it again. It's like, all right, right. Once they show you they can't be trusted, then you kick them in the balls and send them down the road. Okay.
Mhm.
Metaphorically, of course.
Right.
Right. But that's a very different energetic thing that you're bringing to a date or going to a networking event or any place you might go where you might bump into the love of your life.
Right.
If you're starting from I'm wide open, here I am, come take me. I'm yours, right? I mean,
Mhm.
I'm trusting not you per se. I'm trusting me. I'm trusting life,
Right.
right? It's going to play itself out.
Mhm.
And if you turn out to be a weirdo, all right, that might hurt, but I'll survive. I'm a
Right.
big girl, right?
Yeah.
That energy is really attractive. But the energy that says, you got to prove yourself to me, you're going to end up not getting a second date.
Or
You're
you
going to
bring
end
in
up
that person that's trying so hard to prove and you have a whole different mess of
exactly
drama.
the
Yeah.
person who is the person who does bring a sledgehammer has got their own problem,
Right.
right? Right. I want to find a woman that I have to try to break down her walls and make her.
Yeah.
He got his own
Let me
mommy
be
issues.
the white horse savior
Right. Right.
person here. Yeah.
So all that is to say, that people listening to this, if you feel like you've got some baggage and some hurt from the past that you need to let go of to clear away, call me.
Right. Now,
Because that's what I do.
before we dive into muscle 5, I want to just flesh out a little bit of clarity on the past because I
Mhm.
100% agree. Like our past, everything we do and every decision that we make is informed by our past. It's not
Mhm.
necessarily driven by our past,
Mhm.
but it is informed.
Mhm.
I think that this is a space, though, where folks can find themselves sort of falling into, we'll call it the healing loop, that I need to keep healing I need to keep fixing. And then once I've fully taken care of my past, only then am I ready for a relationship. I
Yeah.
do think relationships are amazing spaces to learn about one another. And I know for myself, like in the relationship with my husband, I did not know this for a long time, but I had this habit of putting opportunities for him to reject me.
Mm.
And it was when I was working with a coach that I understood, okay, this is actually something that I'm creating over and over again. I need to
Yeah.
fix this. But the relationship with him allowed me to see that.
Yeah.
On the other side, he was showing up in ways that I felt like I was constantly fighting this sort of invisible ghost. The women that he dated in the
Mhm.
past of, why do I feel like I keep bumping into this?
Mhm.
And so some of that will be calibrated through relationship. I just don't want
Yes.
folks to feel like we got to fix it all before we like go forward.
Right. It's sort of like things in your house. You fix them when you notice that they are broken down.
Yeah,
So, yeah, you get into an intimate relationship and you're going to find a lot more layers of things that get triggered up. That's
totally.
one of the beauties, I think, of why we are drawn to relationship is you're going to find someone who's going to push your buttons. Right.
Totally.
I mean, and then you find more layers of resistance and fear and beliefs. And so you're growing together. But most of us, because of our relationship history, we know whether we have trust issues or not. We know whether, we're guarded or suspicious. If we know that that could stand between me and a healthy connection, then I need to fix what I know is here.
Right.
But yeah, it's a never ending journey.
Correct.
I've been with my wife now 17 years and just continue to see different things get surfaced by different stresses in our lives. I mean, we're moving from a place where we're renting. Now we're buying, and so we're packing up and moving and having to get all the logistics. And so there's all kinds of new dynamics. We've
Yeah,
never made a major move together before. That's the fun of being in a relationship is you're just going to get triggered all the time.
totally. All right. Muscle number 5, right?
Yeah, this is the one that I talked about earlier. This is the one I say your relationship to your inner truth.
Mm,
And I love to say, I love to go in like a would you rather for people. Would you rather be in a relationship that's characterized by transparency and openness and honesty? Or would you rather be in a relationship that's characterized by playing games and deception, lies, and withholds? And
mm,
everyone's like, oh, I want the authentic one until you really know what that actually means.
right.
In my world, one of the commitments that I encourage my clients to consider and live by is this commitment to absolute candor, to
Mm,
be a revealer.
mm,
And I mean being so present with your inner experience that you are able to then communicate what's happening. I like to say, like, what's happening in Royville,
mm-hmm,
okay? What's happening over here in my system.
mm-hmm.
I'm committed to being in a relationship where I'm revealing that to you,
I
even if you
think
like it or don't like it,
I think
right?
Brené Brown sort of filters it from the story I'm telling myself now to
Correct.
share that what's going on
That's
inside.
sharing your thoughts,
Yeah.
right? The story I make up or the thoughts I'm having. It's not arguable that you're thinking something.
Mm,
You might know you might not be right, but it's not arguable that I am thinking this.
right.
This gets really interesting when people say, yes, I really do want to be in that open, honest, authentic relationship until you learn what it can possibly mean. So let me
Right.
give you like an example. And I share this in the book. Okay. So let's just say you're on a date and you're a woman, you're on a date with a guy, and you've been divorced now for 18 months. And in your previous marriage, your husband cheated on you, just
Mm,
really hurt, right?
mm-hmm,
Went through divorce. So you're sitting in this restaurant, first time you're meeting this person, your first date, you're having a great conversation, you're connecting great, and it's a busy restaurant bar area. You notice the guy sitting across from you kind of looks over your shoulder and then kind of looks up and down at a woman who walks right by. And you look over and she's hot as shit. And this guy you're on a date with, he checked her out as she walked by. Now, in that moment, in your system, your stomach just did a flip flop.
mm,
And you kind of felt a wave of maybe anger and fear come up. And you had thoughts of, is this guy going to be a cheater too? Can I not trust this guy? I'm on this date and he's looking over there and then so So you have these body sensations, you have these emotions of anger and fear, you have these thoughts coming up in your head of like, I want to run right now. I either want to throw my drink in this guy's face or I want to run.
Hmm.
And I say, okay, now, do you want to be a revealer or a concealer? Do you want this authentic, open, honest relationship? It's like, wait a minute. Are you telling me that if I do, I would have to say that to him? Yes, that's what it would mean.
Right.
You would sit there and you would say, hey, Bob, I noticed something. Like that girl walked by and I saw you kind of looked at her and I felt really triggered.
Right.
My stomach did flip flops. And I noticed like wave of anger and fear come up inside of me. And I had thoughts pop in my head like, I can't trust you. You're another womanizer like my ex-husband. I kind of thought about either throwing my drink in your face or getting up and walking out. That's what's happening in Amyville.
Right.
That's
All
the
right.
truth. I mean, that
That's
is
the,
you weren't making it up. That's exactly what happened. And that's
yeah.
what it would mean to have a healthy relationship with your inner truth.
Hmm.
You're
Which is
knowing,
not the same as sort of that vulnerability for vulnerability's sake. Like you're not saying to that guy, how dare you have been really hurt. I need you to know this so you can understand how strong I am. You're just clearly saying,
right,
look, this happened. I'm feeling this kind of way. I don't need you to
right.
fix it, but I want to
Exactly.
communicate with
Right.
you
There's
where
no,
things are
you're
at.
not making him wrong. He just looked at a girl. He probably looked at all kinds of people in that restaurant. You probably have too.
Hmm.
Your button got pushed.
Hmm.
So all you're doing is you're speaking what's unarguably true. That's the
Right.
key phrase. It's the unarguable truth. Because the guy could not argue and say your stomach didn't do a flip flop.
Right.
Oh no, you didn't feel scared. Or
Right.
you didn't have that thought, right?
Yeah.
Because you're not saying you are a womanizer, you're a piece of crap. And because now you being a judgmental thing and being right, and now you're speaking quite arguably.
Right.
Because the guy might say, I've never cheated on a relationship in my whole life. But it's just giving you an idea of everybody talks about wanting to be honest and open until they kind of know what that would actually mean,
Hmm.
where you're revealing your inner experience. Now, the caveat here, I'm not saying that you tell someone how much money you make or how much debt you have on a first date. I'm not saying that kind of stuff. Even if somebody asked you, so, Roy, how much money do you make? I could say my authentic, if I check in, I would notice, oh, I just felt my breath change a little bit with that. I
Hmm.
felt a constriction. I think the truth is I'm unwilling to describe to share that with you at this point of our relationship.
Hmm.
There's a part of me that's like, what's going on that you would even ask that? That feels very inappropriate. And I notice I have a judgment about that.
Hmm.
All that's unarguable. So I answered the question. No, I'm not going to tell you that, but I've been honest, right? I've shared what happened in me when you asked that question.
Right.
But it doesn't mean you start giving your sexual history or he said, what's your social security number? Well, I'm committed to candor, so I have to tell him. No,
Right.
that's not it.
Yeah. And I think also coloring with, we've talked about it sort of in the context of a first date, but this is ongoing. This is throughout
Of course.
the context of your relationship. All right.
Yes.
Muscle number 6, right?
Yeah, it's your relationship to your inner energy. We have a sense of aliveness, or not. Most of us know what it's like to feel energetically alive and passionate and enthusiastic and
Mm.
motivated and so forth. We also know what it's like to feel down and stuck and blocked and I don't want to get out of bed. And that muscle is about understanding some of the basic laws of Shakti, basic laws of our inner energy, of what blocks our aliveness. It's like a stream. When there's no rocks in the stream, the water just flows clean.
Mm.
You start putting stones in there. Now the water's got to go around the rocks. And if there's enough stones, it blocks it up completely and there's no flow anymore.
Right.
And we can really get to a place where we feel like our flow is blocked. It can get so bad you want to commit suicide. I can't live in here anymore. There's too much commotion and so forth.
Mm.
So this muscle is all about learning about inner energy management.
Mm.
And there's certain things when we have unowned responsibility, we block our energy. When we have unsaid truths, when we have unkept agreements, when we have unfelt feelings, these are like putting big boulders in your stream and they begin to block you. When you have unquestioned beliefs, unfinished things from your past, right? you have a bunch of these kind of things piling up in your lives, or a bunch of broken agreements. I said I would do this, but I never did. And when we have a lot of that going on and, we're not feeling our feelings and releasing them properly, we're blaming people and not taking ownership. Our whole system starts getting blocked. And then we just feel like I'm not motivated to do anything. I
Mm.
don't feel enthusiastic. I don't feel alive. I kind of feel dead on
Hmm.
the inside. So that's what that one's all about.
Okay.
A very deep conversation.
Yes,
Yeah.
100%. Our very last muscle,
Yeah.
muscle
It's
seven.
it's your relationship to love itself.
Hmm.
We all grow up in families, and not many of us have great examples of healthy, really co-creative, loving relationships.
Yeah.
Very often we come out of our childhoods, from what I saw, love is about power, or love is about control,
Right.
or love is smothering. You can see the dynamics of your parents or whoever were raising you, and you do come out of it with impressions about this is what intimacy is.
Hmm.
This is kind of the way it works because it's the only one you've really seen up close and personal. You might visit your friend's house and stuff, but this is like your only exposure to intimate relationships.
Hmm.
So a lot of times you come out of your child like, I want no part of that. Right. Because look, like my mother lost herself. She had no power, no control, no say. Dad made all the money and he made all the rules. And you're like, boy, if that's what love is. So this one is about exploring your love stories.
Hmm.
What stories do you make up about love? And they can come from your other parts of your life too. When people gaslight you, ghost you, break up with you, hurt you. Love is this. Love is dangerous. Love is all about sex. Love, right? So it's about examining our inner beliefs about love and questioning them.
Right.
Is like, does it have to be about power?
Hmm.
Does it have to be about control? Can I really be fully myself in a relationship and the other person's fully themselves? And it's a win-win where there is no winner loser. Can I be in a relationship and not lose myself?
Right.
Is it possible? So a lot of us have to rewrite our love stories. That's one of the chapters in the book is how to rewrite your love story if you've discovered that I've got one that's not serving me.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
There you go.
I love it. We made it through all seven. I'm really excited. All right, Roy, we have covered a lot today, like a
Yeah.
lot. I'm excited
Yeah.
for this to come out. I know you have a really cool free gift for our
Yeah.
listeners. It could be really helpful. Tell us about it.
Since I talk about getting in relationship shape, just like in the physical fitness world, if you hired a personal trainer to get you in shape, the first thing a good trainer would do is run you through a bunch of assessments to discover your current fitness level. Once they
Hmm.
know kind of where you are, they can put a plan together to get you where you want to go, right? So as a relationship fitness trainer, you could say, the first step is let's discover your current relationship fitness level.
Hmm.
Like, where are you right now? No shame, no judgment. Just what kind of relationship fitness level do I actually have? Once we establish that, oh, then I could put a program together and get you in better shape. So the free gift is a self test that I've created. It's called the Relationship Fitness Self Assessment Test. It's a 30-question little quiz, takes maybe 3 to 5 minutes to take. It unfortunately is quite accurate. It's been around for a number of years now. It is accurate. And I tell people, don't be surprised if you discover you're human and that you could use to grow and
Right.
maybe strengthen a few of these muscles. So you take the test, it's completely confidential. You get your results immediately. Even I don't see your results, they just go to you.
Hmm.
And then you get my feedback based upon how you answered the questions about what fitness level you're in, right? There's ripped. Nobody's ever scored in the ripped category. That would be Jesus or Buddha or something. Okay.
Okay.
Nobody's perfect. So you're ripped or you're skinny fat or you're overweight, unhealthy, or you're dangerously out of shape.
Right.
And I took my own test from the mindset I had back when I was going through my junk. And I scored, of course, in the worst category. My wife took it from the way she was from before she worked with a therapist for a couple of years. She scored in the worst category. You're probably going to find out that maybe you're not in the worst category, but you could use to grow. So then you just call me up and say, Roy, tell me about a program to help me get in shape. What
I
would
love
that
it.
look like? What's involved? What does it cost? The whole thing. And that's my invitation to take that test and at least see what I say your current level is. Not that it's the gospel, but it'll give you an idea anyway of a
Correct.
perspective.
Okay, I love it. And with that, how do people find more about you, learn more, or get in contact with you?
It's easy. Coachingwithroy.com. That's my website. On the homepage is the fitness test. You can't miss it. And coachingwithroy.com. My podcast is called the Attracting Lasting Love Podcast. It's on Apple, Spotify, all the places. And it's been great to be with you. Wonderful.
Amazing. I have loved this. I'll put the links in the show notes as well so folks can find them really easy, although coachingwithroy.com is very easy to spell.
I hope so.
Thank you for a really fantastic conversation, Roy. I have loved every minute.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode. If you loved what you heard today, be sure to share it with me by leaving a review on your favorite podcast platform and help me reach more like-minded people who are ready to expand their life. If you haven't yet followed me on social media, find me on Instagram for extra love and inspiration by following at Amy Van Meel or visit my website at amyvanmeel.com. I love you so much, babe, and I am damn proud of you. I am already excited to connect in the next episode. And in the meantime, believe in yourself with the confidence of a 5-year-old.